Friends, welcome to Know the Cause, and thank you for the confidence you instill in us every day. We really enjoy being on this program and really hope we're benefiting your health. Crohn's disease, number one, named after a doctor. There was really a Dr. Crohn, so you have to guess, what doesn't a doctor learn in their medical training? Oh, they learn a lot about bacteria, so Crohn's is a bacterial disease. They learn a lot about viruses. They don't learn about fungus. As it turns out, fungus has a lot to do with Crohn's disease, just discovered a few years ago. So we'll discuss that, part one and part two. I answer the question, Doug, what would you do if you had Crohn's? I'll go over that with you. Abby is in the kitchen. Oh, Greek chicken salad. Unbelievable. Wait till you see this. Of course, it's Kaufman friendly. And finally, leaky gut. I know that's horrible. Gut is the intestines, stomach, and so forth. Do we have leaky gut, and what might be contributing to it? Why all of a sudden do all of us have it? All that and more on this Know the Cause.
For the past 45 years, I have dedicated my life and my whole career to finding the root cause of disease. And I now know with certainty that we must play a role in our own health care. I'm a self-care advocate. You know what? Every time you change your diet for the better, exercise, or swallow a nutritional supplement, so are you. Now welcome to Know the Cause.
Friends, many of you know that for years I worked for a dermatologist out here in Dallas. Dr. Weekly brought me from LA when my kids were tiny to the city of Dallas on a 5-year contract. Well, in year 6, he passed away, but we didn't go back. We stayed here. He was a skin doctor. I saw lots of psoriasis, eczema, skin problems. And when he allowed me to put people on my antifungal diet and he would prescribe antifungal drugs, the weirdest thing happened. A month later, 2 weeks later, when I'd sit down with them, they'd say, wow, look at this. But Doug, would this have anything to do with my stomach problems? Almost everybody, I realized 33 years ago, has tummy problems. In the book that Dr. Dave Holland and I wrote, 21 years ago, 1999, got published in the year 2000. This is our Fungus Link 1 book. In the book, I thought that Crohn's disease was a fungal disease. Here's what I wrote. This is kind of interesting. In chapter 13 of Principles and Practice of Clinical Mycology, it deals entirely with fungal infections of the gut. They describe how blastomyces dermatitis, a fungus, can actually produce granuloma lesions in the intestines. Interestingly, this type of lesion has also been seen in patients with Crohn's disease. Anytime a disease is named after a doctor, there really was a Dr. Crohn, you have to start thinking, what didn't that doctor learn in medical training? This much about antibiotics, this much about antivirals, this much about antifungals. Could Crohn's be a fungal disease? Let's take a look at that right now. What is Crohn's? Crohn's is an inflammatory disease of the digestive system which causes a range of debilitating symptoms, including abdominal pain, diarrhea, weight loss. Folks, these people are miserable with a capital M. I saw this over and over and over. And what would happen in our skin clinic is they'd say, wow, look at that psoriasis, much better. Hey, Doug, could we hurry it? I got to get to the gastroenterologist, and then the psychiatrist, and then I'm having some back problems. What if what if fungus is not only causing the Crohn's, but all the other problems, okay? So my friend, Dr. Ganoum, he's out at Case Western. He's a mycologist, a doctor that studies fungus. It was him. He called me in 2015 or 2016 and said, Doug, you're going to love this one. And he sent me a headline. Here's the headline. Fungus may be a key factor in Crohn's disease. This is September 29th, 2016, in the medical journal called Medscape. A fungus in the gut could be a key factor in the development of Crohn's disease, according to an investigation by an international team of researchers. Dr. Ganoum was one of those researchers. So let's go back again a couple of decades. I thought these patients of the doctors that I was putting on my diet, they were putting on antifungal medicine. My diet starved fungus. Their diet killed fungus in the gut and other places. Nystatin. Dr. Weekly would put these patients on a drug called nystatin. It kills yeast and fungus in the belly or in the intestines, right? And they'd come to me and they'd say, you know, my bowels, Doug, I've been on this for 6 months now. Look at my skin, before and after pictures the doctor took. But I got to tell you, I had, fill in the blank, irritable bowel, you know, COPD, lung problems, depression. The list was almost endless. Could that have anything to do with fungus, Doug? Because not only is my skin better, but my gut is better also. And then 15 years later, I get a call from Dr. Ganoum, and he said, you're not going to believe what we found. Now, why is that relevant? Let's look at the next graphic. This, according to the Crohn's Disease Clinical Practice Guidelines set in 2018, the American College of Gastroenterology. And I quote, usage of antibiotics should not, I thought it said should not be restricted in Crohn's disease patients in order to prevent disease flare-ups. And then I said, wait a minute, could antibiotics be linked to fungal infections, or could they somehow fuel fungal infections? I mean, folks, even the Center for Disease Control is saying, if you're not getting better on that drug, what did they say? 2 words, think fungus. They were absolutely right, as was I and Dr. Holland 20 years ago. And look at this. So I asked that question online. Could antibiotics be factors in growing fungus or yeast in our body? According to drugs.com, yeah. Taking a course of antibiotics can frequently lead to a yeast infection, fungal or vaginal candidiasis infection. Wow. Look at the next one. This one comes from antimicrobial agents and chemotherapy. Candida or yeast colonization increases substantially after the administration of an antimicrobial agent, broad spectrum and anaerobic activities. Folks, we're putting these patients on broad spectrum antibiotics, and they end up with a yeast problem. It's feeding yeast. Finally, this one comes from U.S. National Library of Medicine. You are more likely to get a fungal infection if you have a weakened immune system, or what does that say? Take antibiotics. Always think, folks, always think fungus first. The CDC is right on this one. Okay, friends, once again, fill in the blank. Doug, I have, is it Crohn's? Is it COPD? Is it asthma? Is it migraines? Fill in the blank. I have this. I think I may have seen it all with Dr. Weekly and the other doctors. There were 3 of them that I worked with over there. I think I've seen it all. They came to us for skin problems, but then they said, could my, fill in the blank, ringing in my ear, blepharospasms, eye twitches, could my hiccups, you know, could my digestive problems, could my gout be linked to this? Because when I followed your program, I got better. So let me expound a little bit on the program. These people were failures in other dermatologist offices. For skin conditions, and particularly for psoriasis, they'd get a shot of cortisone. They'd stand in a PUVA box, UV light, so UV light would shine on them, and they'd feel better for a period of time until the next week happened. Then they'd be back in the doctor's office. So these were patients who had kind of failed other doctors' standard treatments. Doctors, in order to get patients better, often have to think outside of the box, and their medical training didn't give them that. So let me tell you, as a non-doctor, what I would do if I had Crohn's disease, or if I had, you fill in the blank. Number 1, if it is due to a fungal agent, I'd starve it. We know fungi must have carbohydrates, sugars, or they'll die. But our oatmeal and our bread, our wheat, our corn are carbohydrates, right? Potatoes, starch, rice, things of that sort are carbohydrates. So I'd go on the Kaufman 1 diet, which basically says, look, don't eat peanuts, don't eat mushrooms, don't eat truffles, don't eat yeast, and don't eat grains, right? And the only fruits I want you to have are grapefruit and green apples and berries, okay, for a period of time. Most people feel great. Then kill it. If the doctor won't give you the nystatin, which is a prescription drug for the gut, ask the doctor if you can begin taking so many things: vitamin C, resveratrol, caprylic acid, lauric acid. There, some of the B vitamins. There are so many antifungals in health food stores, it's amazing. I like rotating my antifungals. Most importantly, know that as an adult, you've got a couple of pounds of good flora, bacteria, and good yeast living together, right, in your intestine. So I'd restore that. That can be done with a good probiotic. Well, how do I get this stuff out of my gut? You bind it with a type of fiber called psyllium, P-S-Y-L-L-I-U-M. Take it at night, shake it up in a jar, drink it down before you go to bed at night. This does two things. It enhances peristalsis. When I get up in the morning, I got to go to the bathroom. Number two, while you're sleeping, it binds those fungal mycotoxins, poisons in your gut. Just think about that if you have a serious, complex problem that isn't getting better.
Hi, I'm Abby, and today in my kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make a Greek chicken salad. Right now, I'm finishing up dicing some cucumber, or shredding it, really. I've got about a medium-sized cucumber. I'm going to be using that for the salad. All right, that looks about done. We're going to add that to a bowl. There we go. Get all that cucumber goodness out into the bowl. Okay, there's that. Now, okay, we've got our cucumber, and we're gonna start adding other ingredients to it. I've got some mashed avocado. I've got some lemon juice. The salad is a great alternative to the regular classic mayonnaise-based chicken salad. Instead of mayonnaise, we're using Greek yogurt today. And you want to make sure you get a Greek yogurt that's plain, doesn't have any flavoring in it, and has as little of added sugar as you can find. Got some minced garlic. And some fresh dill. All right, now we're gonna combine all of these together first to make our sauce. It smells so good. That fresh dill and that lemon juice. Oh. All right, now we're gonna add, actually let's go ahead and add some salt and pepper first. And some salt. Go ahead and mix that up real quick. Now we'll add our pre-cooked cubed chicken. And one thing I love about chicken salads is that it's great to make if you have leftover chicken that you've made from a night before. Like if you have like a baked chicken or rotisserie chicken or stuff like that. If you got a lot of leftovers, it's really easy to make a salad like this and have a completely different meal the next day. But you don't have to worry about wasting any food. Now you can just eat this on your own, on its own, as it is. You could put this on a bed of lettuce with some tomatoes and have a more substantial salad. You could put this on some of the Kaufman bread that we've made before and have a little sandwich. But I'm just gonna go ahead and eat it as it is. I got my bowl here. Using fresh dill versus using dried dill makes all the difference. It's a really nice light, but it's still very creamy. It doesn't have the really heavy, oily feeling that you usually get when you have mayonnaise-based things. This is a really good alternative to your normal everyday chicken salad. For this recipe and more, go ahead to knowthecause.com. This is a Kaufman too because it does have the Greek yogurt in it, but it's a great alternative to that classic chicken salad recipe. And once you make this, go ahead and post it on Facebook so I can see how it turned out for you guys. And I hope you have a great day.
As with most things I do on television, I try to isolate a problem for you, and then I try and have you be able to fix it. And that means going to a doctor and saying, Doctor, I watched this show on TV and here's what it recommended. Could I get this test done? Would you mind if we try this prescription? If the doctor says no to the prescription or no to the test, folks, if this isn't a severe problem, talk to him or her about trying this on your own. You will not believe what a change of diet does for our good health. Nobody seems to want to expound on that, right? But change your diet. That would be one of the first things. Now, the year was 1980, so it was, could it be 40 years ago? I had dark hair and a mustache. 40 years ago, a research paper was handed to me and laid on my desk for a few days before I read it. I believed 45 years ago that food allergy was a significant problem. And then one day, a doctor friend of mine sent me, we didn't have faxes or cell phones or texting back then, so he mailed a copy of an article. And let me tell you, I remember the title of that article, Antigenically Intact Food Macromolecules Exiting the Gut Lumen, the lining of the intestine, the lumen. Antigenically intact? You mean bits of corn and wheat and milk and egg exiting the gut barriers? Antigenically intact? I mean, they're big, they can get out. Folks, we call this today leaky gut. It's kind of gross, but leaky gut is what it's called. And I think gut leakage leads to food allergy because we draw people's blood where their antibodies are, and we spin the blood down and pull off the serum, and we test against milk and wheat and corn, and many people react to food allergy. I have to wonder if we are testing what they're eating, making antibodies to, or are these really food allergies? And someday we'll go into IgG and IgE and IgM and IgA and IgD food allergies. But IgG and IgE are the two big ones. Before we go into all of that, I won't have time today, let me walk you down the leaky gut aisle, okay? First, let's define it. When your intestines or stomachs have tiny micropore leakage, we call it leaky gut. And I'm sorry, it's, it should be leaky stomach, leaky intestine, but it's leaky gut. Here's what many years ago, an organization called the Annual Reviews of Nutrition said, there is now irrefutable evidence that small amounts of intact peptides and proteins do enter the circulation under normal conditions or normal circumstances. Folks, does that say enter the circulation? Circulatory stream. Is that not blood? Where we make a protective antibody against that antigen called wheat or corn or peanuts. Is that because it's in our diet regularly? Is that what food allergy is detecting today? I mean, I don't know. I left that field when I learned that maybe all we're testing is what people are eating, right? They change their diet and then they become allergic to all the new foods they're eating. In order to do that, I said, they must leak through the intestines and stomach, okay? Now, what conditions, your logical question is, okay, Doug, are there predeterminants? Are there conditions that give rise to leaky gut? And I looked it up online and I was kind of fascinated at this. Look at all of them. Conditions associated with leaking intestines, autoimmune diseases, and there's what, 140 of them? Celiac disease, Crohn's, hives, acne, food allergies, arthritis, joint problems, ulcerative colitis, intestinal infections, CFS, giardia, eczema, psoriasis, dysfunctional liver, irritable bowel syndrome. CFS is chronic fatigue, I'm sorry. But so many problems seem to be associated with leaky gut. There are those of us who believe, and again, I'm not a doctor, there are those of us who believe that when this is bad and leaking and inflamed and constipated or diarrhea, that this all goes hand in hand. The joint problems, the gout, the depression stems from here. Fix this and watch what happens to the rest of it. Now, you need to know the cause of leaky intestines. Did you know that ibuprofen, naproxen, aspirin, Advil, Motrin, Aleve, Midol, they're called NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. They can induce leaky gut syndrome. there's a test called lactulose mannitol. Write that down, lactulose mannitol with 2 N's. It can be done by a doctor's order. It's a 6-hour urine test. If the levels are found high, leaky gut likely exists. So you have to understand, folks, if you question, man, this sounds like me. I got all those symptoms. I got tummy problems. Could I have a leaky gut? Lactulose mannitol is what you want to ask your doctor for a test, right? Okay, if I had leaky gut, and I think I did many years ago, if I had leaky gut, what would I do? Once again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to tell you what I would do. If yeast can burrow a hole, these are the mycelium, the tail yeast, can burrow a hole through the lumen, poke a hole, then we chew up eggs and milk and cereal and out it leaks. You got to seal up the holes, folks. And colostrum, the first breastfeeding, colostrum, viscous, comes out of mother's breast. Bovine colostrum, if it's a non-hormone, non-antibiotic cow, I think that would be a good way of getting colostrum. That can also help seal up a gut, as I believe psyllium powder, Psyllium, psyllium powder. Then if these are antibiotic-induced tiny openings in the intestine, you have to think probiotics. You got to start restoring the terrain of the bacteria. So between sealing up the gut with maybe bovine colostrum and maybe psyllium, change your diet. Don't put foods in there that are going to, cause food allergy. And then most importantly, you've got to put the good bacteria in, the good terrain. A good probiotic is essential. You got that now? If leaky gut exists, get it tested, and then make every effort to fix it. Your doctor may not know a lot about this, but I'd sure educate him or her on the fact that something's really wrong down here. You're wondering if it's linked to all of these other health problems you have, and you'd like to take the next 60 days changing your diet, starting psyllium, starting bovine colostrum, and starting probiotics, and see if you can fix it. Stay in touch with your doctor, because when a doctor sees this revelation, how well you feel in 2 months, he may then begin treating his other patients the same way. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. The confidence that you instill in us is amazing. Thank you. I also do 2.5 hours a week live so you can communicate with me. That's on Facebook, YouTube, etc. You can join me every Tuesday and Thursday. I get this email. Keep up the great work, Doug. You'll have to come visit me and my patients in Portugal one of these days. I've saved many patients from decades of pain and suffering and eventually chemo and radiation and death by knowing the fungus link that you're referring to. His name is Nabil, N-A-B-I-L, Mo, and he's in Portugal. And if I were in Portugal, this would be my doctor. A doctor who knows fungus is so valuable to his patients. God bless you, folks. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Tell a friend about Know the Cause. Thanks.